Okay, so that question focused on getting you to think about some unique partnerships to create business processes. Well, what are some unique partnerships? Well, think about what happened in Australia with the Orange Telecommunications Company and Hutchinson Telecom a few years back. They'd been trying to break into the Australian market for ages, and it never worked. They couldn't do it, so a couple of them got together and formed a partnership to be a genuine competitor to Telstra. How do these partnerships improve performance? Well, it creates a different sort of process that's much larger and much robust, which can be unwieldy and hard to manage, but it does create a more competitive advantage. Sometimes when you create an alliance between two companies, you create an ongoing source of competitive advantage as well. And that must be the entire thrust of it. So from a business process point of view, we've got to look at that and say, is this going to create a competitive advantage that will last, that will continue to last, and will create ongoing performance gains over time? And that's the question we've got to look at. So it is a process-based question. We can say, okay, we want to be in charge of the entire Southeast Asian quarter by 2012. Okay, so how are you going to do that? Well, we're going to create a series of alliances. What's the process for creating those alliances? Well, we're going to use leverage buyouts. Are we going to create economic problems for people if we do that? How are we going to achieve these goals? And that's what we need to do at the business process level. We look at, well, how do these unique partnerships create unique processes that need to be managed more effectively? And how does that reflect on our overall performance? And they're the things we think about. How, for example, will a business work well together? Because, there's sometimes mergers and demergers. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Because what happens? The process fails. People have a good idea, we're going to acquire this company, but then they can't get the process to work properly. And we have imbalances in the processes, we have duplicated processes, and they never actually line up properly. We then have ongoing problems because of technical issues sometimes, getting information systems to merge together and link together to create a more holistic unit can be a problem. We recently had a council mergers in southeast Queensland. Previously there might have been 10 councils all managing local shires like Redcliffe, Logan and stuff like that, and all of a sudden some of them merged together. On the Sunshine Coast there was major problems getting the different cultures to work together and getting the different information systems to work together at the same time. It was a process problem. And they're the problems that stand in the way of the realisation of strategy. Process problems. So that's what I want you to pull from that. If you have an idea for sustainable competitive advantage, it's no good unless the partnerships involved actually work well as a process. So think about that. It's important. All right, so we're going to look now at this idea of knowledge. Now, this seems like a bit of a leap, but it's actually not. I'm going to take you through a few case studies to finish up as we go through this next part of the lecture. We've already talked quite a bit about cross-functional teams. A cross-functional team is one, remember, from the first week and second week of the course, where we go across a variety of different functions of a business and try and leverage the existing knowledge stores that we have across those domains. Improving the way knowledge is distributed is what the whole idea is. So the whole point of a cross-functional team is to create an environment where knowledge is largely distributed, but also tightly interlinked. So if we have someone that's good at marketing and someone that's good at accounting, we want them to work together because a business deals with certain kinds of problems. It does have marketing problems and accounting problems, but it also has strategic problems that require the perspectives of many different process owners or many different people that are important. Improving the way knowledge is distributed, sharing them between teams, sharing them between different groups. To show you an example of this on how Kodak did it, I'm going to stop the video now and show you an example of how Kodak leverages social media to improve its knowledge management. How it goes to its customer base and says, what are we doing wrong? And uses that process to improve the overall quality of their business and to give them a unique selling proposition. This creates a sustainable competitive advantage. It also shows you how different teams are involved and how new knowledge is generated because they're willing to open themselves up to the public. And the question I want you to think about for when we come back and to reflect on in this lecture is, what does this actually teach us about business processes?